Hey guys, this is Malinki. Welcome back to my channel, Voice of Malinki. Today we will talk about the part 1 of connective tissue, and if you are new in my channel, please subscribe my channel, and if you like my video, please do like, comment and share my video. So we know that there are 4 types of tissues in our body. First one is epithelial tissue, then it is the connective tissue, then it is neuronal tissue, and then muscular tissue. So we have already talked about epithelial tissue. If you want to check that, I have provided the link in the description box, and second one is the connective tissue. So today we will talk about the general features, composition, classification of connective tissue, and mainly we will focus on loose and dense connective tissue. Okay, so let's start. Now there are some general features of connective tissues. So they are basically most abundant tissue. So that means you will get connective tissue most abundantly throughout our body. It is widely distributed and it is the most abundant tissue among 4 tissues. So among epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, neural tissue, this connective tissue is most abundant. It is found mostly and it is widely distributed. Widely distributed means it is not accumulated in a particular part of our body, rather it is widely distributed throughout our body. Next, it connects and supports other tissues or organs. So in our body, different tissues are there, different organs are there. So suppose here is one organ, here is one and another organ, here is another organ. So these organs are required to be connected, right? Required to be connected, and otherwise they will be in the hanging state. So connective tissue is the tissue that will connect them, that will support them. Therefore, it is named as connective tissue. And then composition of connective tissue. So mainly connective tissue is made up of 2 things. First is the cells. So some cells are found in the connective tissue, and second one is the extracellular matrix. So these are 2 things what we get in the connective tissue. Okay, so among cells you can see we will get fibroblasts here, leukocytes or WBC, white blood cells. We will get macrophages, we will get mast cells, we will get adipocytes. So these are main cells which we get in the connective tissue. Fibroblasts are most common. So among these 5 types of cells, fibroblasts are most common cells. You will get fibroblasts in all of the connective tissue, and what they do, they basically synthesize extracellular matrix. So suppose this is the connective tissue and here are some cells. We find these cells in the connective tissue. And extracellular matrix, this is the extracellular matrix which ECM, extracellular matrix, which we will get in the connective tissue. Extracellular matrix are found in the spaces between different cells. So these extracellular matrix, these are synthesized by fibroblast cells. And apart from fibroblasts, we will get leukocytes, WBC, white blood cells. We will get macrophages. So macrophages are some phagocytic cells. So we will get mast cells. So these WBC, macrophages and mast cells, these are some cells which are involved in our body defense or immunity. And some adipocytes which are actually fat cells. So these cells deposit fat. So you will get these types of cells also in connective tissue. And let's talk about the extracellular matrix. So extracellular matrix is secreted by some cells. Those are fibroblasts that we already know. Now, extracellular matrix is composed of two things. First one is the protein fibers. So, protein fibers, you will get protein fibers in extracellular matrix. And second one is the polysaccharides or carbohydrates. So, extracellular matrix is made up of protein fibers and carbohydrates, those are polysaccharides. So, polysaccharides are also called as ground substance. Ground substance. They are also called as ground substance. Now, among protein fibers, you will get collagen and elastin. These two are main protein fibers that you will get in the extracellular matrix of connective tissue. And these protein fibers, they are like thread. So, they provide strength, elasticity and flexibility. They provide strength, elasticity and flexibility of connective tissues. And among polysaccharides, you will get hyaluronic acid, chondroitin sulfate, dermatan sulfate, keratin sulfate. So, these are main types of polysaccharides which you will get in extracellular matrix of connective tissue. These polysaccharides are also called as GAGs or glycosaminoglycans. So, in collectively you can say GAGs or glycosaminoglycans. So, among GAGs you will get these four types of polysaccharides. So, that is all about extracellular matrix of connective tissue. So, now we know that connective tissue is made up of cells and extracellular matrix, and now we know that which cells are present in connective tissue and what about the extracellular matrix. Let's talk about the classification of connective tissue. So, connective tissue is mainly of three types. First is the loose connective tissue, then it is the dense connective tissue and specialized connective tissue. So, today we will talk about loose connective tissue and dense connective tissue, and in the next lecture we will talk about specialized connective tissue. Among specialized connective tissue you will get cartilage, bones and blood. So, there are three types of specialized connective tissue: cartilage, bones and blood, that we will talk in the next lecture. So, let's focus on loose connective tissue and dense connective tissue. Okay, so loose connective tissue, from the name itself, these are loose. You can understand that here fibers are loosely arranged between cells. So, suppose these are some cells. Here you will get fibers like these. These are some fibers. Now, these fibers are very loosely arranged between cells. You can see this picture I have drawn. Now, that is loose connective tissue. And loose connective tissue is of two main types. First is the areolar and second is the adipose. Areolar loose connective tissue and adipose loose connective tissue. So, areolar loose connective tissue, they are most widely distributed. So, in our body, throughout our body, you will find areolar loose connective tissue that is present throughout our body. Like, if we see the location of areolar loose connective tissue, these tissues are found in around every body structure. Around every body structure, you will get this loose connective tissue, that is areolar connective tissue here. So, in blood vessels, nerves, body organs, beneath the skin, everywhere you will get areolar connective tissue. Actually, these tissues are like packing materials. So, in our body, so many delicate organs are there, so many delicate tissues are there. In our body, you will get nerve tissues, you will get blood and different organs, so many organs are there, and those are very delicate. So, if you want to protect the organs, you need to cover them, you need to pack them. So, like when we send some courier, we pack our precious stuff. Like that, these precious tissues and precious organs are packed by areolar connective tissue. So, they are called as packing materials. Suppose this is the organ and here around this important organ you will get some connective tissue, that is the areolar connective tissue. Now, function of areolar connective tissue, it provides strength, elasticity and support. Therefore, they are packing material. Okay, next is adipose. Adipose is one more loose connective tissue. Okay, so we all know that adipose tissue, they store fat. So when we eat extra, when we eat high calorie foods, we don't require high calorie foods. So when we eat extra foods, our foods are converted into fats. And those fats are stored in some particular cells. Fats are not stored in all cells of our body. Fats are only stored in some particular cells of our body. Those cells are adipose cells. And adipose tissue is made up of those cells, those adipose cells. Now, suppose this is the adipose cell. Here, the fat accumulates as a large droplet like this. So here, this is the large fat droplet. In this way, fat molecules are accumulated and stored in these adipose cells. And the adipose cell contains cytoplasm and nucleus because all cells contain cytoplasm and nucleus. Suppose this is the nucleus. Now, the cytoplasm, this is the white part, that is the cytoplasm. So, the cytoplasm and nucleus, these are shifted in the periphery of the cell, right? Because the major portion of the cell is occupied by the big fat droplet. So, the nucleus and the cytoplasm of the cell is little bit shifted toward the periphery of the cell. That is the character of adipose cells. And if you eat more, if you don't do any exercise and if you eat more, you will gather more and more adipose cells and more adipose tissues. And as they are cells, they require oxygen. Therefore, they require blood because blood provides oxygen. So, these adipose cells are surrounded by so many blood vessels. And that's why the fat person contains more blood vessels compared to the thin person. That's why the heart of the fat person works hard, it works more compared to the thin person, and it mediates different types of heart diseases. Okay, so the location of adipose tissue, it is beneath skin, around heart and kidney, padding around joints and behind eyeball in eye socket. So from this location, one thing you can guess that we all people require some amount of adipose cells, adipose tissues in our body because they have some specific function. They are found beneath our skin, around heart and kidney, and they are the padding material. Why? Because our organs, which are very precious, which are delicate, and our joints, which are also very delicate, those things require some padding system. And these tissues, adipose cells, which are having so many fat cells which are having so many fat droplets, they will provide that support because they are like the padding material. They are like the sponge. In the sponge materials, our organs are residing happily. Like it is found around the heart and kidney, behind eyeball in eye socket, because eye socket is just like a big hole. So there our precious eyes are located, and behind the eyeball you will get some adipose tissues. They are providing eye support. They are providing the spongy material to our eye to sit happily. And the function of adipose tissue is it reduces heat loss through skin because fat works like insulation. So they are the insulating materials and it reduces heat loss through skin. They serve as energy reserve because when we are in the fasting status, when we don't get food, that time these fats give us energy. They will be broken down at that time and provide energy. They support and protect organs. Okay, so that is all about the loose connective tissue. Let's talk about the dense connective tissue. So here dense connective tissue, in the dense connective tissue, fibers are densely arranged between cells. So here we have drawn loose connective tissue. Suppose these are some cells and here the protein fibers are very much densely arranged like these. So can you get the difference between this loose connective tissue and dense connective tissue? In loose connective tissues, fibers are loosely arranged, and in dense connective tissues, fibers are densely arranged between cells. And there are two types of dense connective tissues. One is regular dense connective tissue, another is irregular dense connective tissue. Let's talk about the regular one. So here fibers present in rows in regular fashion. Suppose these are the cells and fibers are present like that. They are present in row and they are present in regular fashion. Okay, they are present in tendons and ligaments. So tendons basically connect bones to the muscles and ligaments connect one bone to the another bone. So in those tendons and ligaments you will get regular connective tissue and they withstand tensile strength along long axis of fibers. Okay. That means as they are regularly arranged like these, you can pull them in this way or this way and they can withstand that strength. If you pull them in this long axis of the fibers like in this way and in this way, they can withstand this strength. That is called tensile strength. Whereas in irregular connective tissue, you can see fibers present randomly in irregular fashion. Suppose these are some cells and here fibers are present like that, randomly and in the irregular fashion. That is the difference between regular and irregular dense connective tissue. And here these irregular dense connective tissues are present in skin. They withstand tensile strength in many directions because they are present in this way, right? So you can pull them in this direction, 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 or this, in many direction you can pull them, and as they are arranged in the irregular fashion, they can withstand these types of tensile strain in many directions. So that is all about today's lecture. In next lecture we will talk about specialized connective tissue.